Ruskin Bond is one of the most popular authors in India and he is known for writing children's fiction. He has written a lot of books, and in this video of author series, I bring you the second part in this Ruskin Bond books video, where I am going to be discussing 8 books by Ruskin Bond. Now, all of these books feature Rusty. Rusty happens to be a character Ruskin Bond created to tell people stories about his own life. So, all of the books that I'm going to mention in this video are semi-autobiographical in nature and feature Ruskin Bond's iconic character, Rusty. Do keep in mind that I have another video which discusses the most popular books by Ruskin Bond, which I will link down below in the description, and also the playlist of author series if you want to know more about other Indian authors. And yes, if you're new on this channel, hi there, I am Manpreet. I make book related videos on this channel. If you want bookish recommendations, bookish videos like this one, then please make sure you subscribe and hit a thumbs up to support this channel. And now, without further ado, let's get started with the book number 1, that is Room on the Roof. Now, this was written when Ruskin Bond was 17 years old. This book is semi-autobiographical in nature and it features Rusty and his friends while he is out on different adventures as he runs away from home and does a lot of different things. Now, if you do plan to pick up this book, do remember that this book is quite old and was written when the author was 17 years old. So a lot of people might consider the writing to be amateurish and might not like it much, but I personally read this book because it was the first book of the author and I really wanted to get an introduction to the Ruskin Bond's world through his first book, and I really liked it from that aspect. Moreover, most of the Ruskin Bond's books are written for children, so the tone is quite simple, slow and laid back. So do keep in mind while you decide to pick up any Ruskin Bond book, okay? Number 2 book is Vagrants in the Valley, which is about friendship and growing up as Rusty just, proceeds in his life and moves into adulthood. Number 3 book is Rusty the Boy from the Hills. Now, this one goes back into Rusty's life and traces his life from his early childhood to his early teens. The book introduces Rusty as a quiet, imaginative and sensitive boy who is living with his grandparents in Dehradun. Another thing you need to know about Ruskin Bond's books are most of the books are set in the very scenic location of Dehradun, and it is really a pleasure to read his books just to get the vibe of that place, okay? Now, the house of Rusty's grandparents has a lot of strange creatures and Rusty himself is an imaginative boy. And the book really takes you through all of that. Now, in this book, there are a lot of adventures as well. And Rusty really goes out of Dehradun to visit his father in the wartime Java. And the book is all about that. Number 4 book is Rusty Runs Away. The book traces 5 years of his life as he moves in his adolescent years. Now, Rusty's father and grandmother have unfortunately passed away and he is living with his guardian, Mr. Harrison. Now, if you have read The Room on the Roof, you would know that he keeps having incidents which involve his guardian. And there is this incident after which he is sent to a boarding school. But Rusty doesn't really like being in boarding school and he runs away, which gives the book its name, Rusty Runs Away. And he sort of runs away to follow his dreams but ends up back in Dehradun, and that is how the story follows. And I believe after this, the part of The Room on the Roof comes back and you can just connect the stories after that. Number 5 of the Ruskin Bond books that features Rusty is Rusty and the Magic Mountain. The book is about a particular adventure in Rusty's life when he and his friends decide to climb up a mountain, which is usually surrounded with a lot of legends and superstition, and this is an adventure story about that. Number 6 is Rusty Goes to London. Obvious from the name, Rusty decides to follow his dream of becoming a writer and he moves to London where he has a day job, and in the evenings he writes and he tries to get published while he is also having his own little adventures in London now. Number 7 is Rusty Comes Home. Quite evident from the name, he comes back from London now and decides to make a full-time living as a writer, and then he also explores different places except from Dehradun, like Delhi, a small town called Shahganj, and then he has also written a lot of stories inspired from these places because, as I said, these are all semi-autobiographical in nature. All the books and novels and stories of Ruskin Bond featuring Rusty, and all of the places he actually went to inspired him to write several of his books and short stories. And yes, this story also features some of the supernatural elements, and Ruskin Bond really writes light horror, so it's fun to read that as well because it's just surrounded with lots of myths and legends of India, so it's really exciting for me to at least read all of those books. And lastly, we have Adventures of Rusty, the collected stories, as evident from the name once again. These are short story collections from different parts of Rusty's life and the different adventures he goes into. Guys, I forgot to mention one more book, that is Rusty and the Leopard. Now, this book comes before Rusty goes to London. Now, so what happens is that Rusty, having finally run away from his home, he is living with the Kapoors and he formulates a bond with Meera, who then dies, and then Rusty just, goes on a sort of road trip. And he's going through the Doon Valley and Garhwal Valley, where he is having his own adventures and eventually comes to a realization that he wants to move to London, after which then Rusty moves to London. So all in all, these are not 8 books, 9 books. And Ruskin Bond has written several other books. I have made a video about 10 of the most popular ones, and I told you I will link it down below or in the I button. But at the same time, I have 28 more novels by Ruskin Bond, 61 short story collections, 2 separate children's fiction and 1 non-fiction to discuss in this author series video as well, which we will not be doing in this particular video, but I'll definitely put up a video discussing all of these books as well. So if you want to catch all of those videos, please make sure you subscribe and hit a thumbs up to this video, because that really helps to support this channel and keeps me inspired. I would definitely recommend Ruskin Bond as an author for children's fiction. So you can gift it to your nephews, nieces, or if you are married and have children, you can gift it to your children. And these are very light, very nice in nature, so you can read all of these books yourself as well if you have that taste. So yes, with the hope that you really found some useful information in this video, I would end this video. And yes, thank you so much for watching. This is Manpreet signing off. I'll be back with another video very soon.